congruent. Yes, top and bottom ones are congruent. Left and right ones are congruent. Good. Who can give me something else that is congruent in the real world? There's a lot of things. Darren. There are things in this room that are congruent. What are some things in this room? What? Okay, some of the windows are congruent. Yeah, they're the same size, same shape. Good. What else is congruent in this room? Yep. Your phone? With what? Okay, someone who's got the exact same type of phone as you has got a congruent phone. Exactly. Same size, same shape. Good. What else is congruent? Pencils are, well, typically when they start, they're congruent, right? When they change up, they're not necessarily congruent. What about parts of your body? What parts of your body are congruent? Your hands, your legs, fingers, your eyes, arms. Yeah, you've got a lot of pieces on your body that are congruent. They're the same size, they're the same shape. Exactly. Well, in theory, they're the same size and the same shape. They might be a little different, but in theory, you've got a lot of things that are congruent. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So today we are going to talk about proving that different pieces of a triangle are congruent. And we're going to learn a couple different theorems, couple different rules for proving that triangles are the same. So go ahead and put your name on the paper. Today's date is the 3rd, and then put a nice big number 9 on our paper. This is going to be the 9th thing in our notebooks. We'll update our table of contents at the end of the class. Okay. And I'm also going to tell you that I am going to today, as we go through, I'm going to use 3 different colors today. So if you are a color-coded kind of human, it might be helpful to take out some markers and of colors. There are crayons in the back too. But I'm a color-coding kind of human, so I'm going to color-code mine today for sure. And I will tell you when I use the 3 colors. Okay. Congruent means same blank and same blank. What am I going to put there? Same. Your hands are the same length. They're the same size and shape. Good. So congruent means same size. And it also means the same shape. Now, this little symbol right here, an equal sign with, it's called a tilde above it, or an equal sign with this little like squiggle above it, that's the symbol for congruent. And so I'm not going to write the word congruent out every time. I'm going to use this symbol to mean congruent. Excuse me. So this is like a really, really, really important thing to know. That's the symbol for congruence. All right. So congruent triangles are triangles, obviously, that have 3 pair of congruent corresponding sides and congruent corresponding angles. So they have to have the same sides, same angles, and in the same spot. So congruent triangles are triangles that have 3 pair of congruent corresponding sides and 3 pair of congruent corresponding angles. What does the word corresponding mean? Does anybody remember what that word means? We used it when we talked about parallel lines. How about I say, like Aiden and Jade are in corresponding places right now.
Same size, same two angles that are on the same side are corresponding positions.
Corresponding positions, yes. So that means they're in the same place, okay, in the same spot, in the same location is what corresponding. So corresponding means the same position. Same position, or you can put location, either one is fine. Okay, so to prove that triangles are congruent, we have to show that all 3 sides are congruent, and we have to show that all 3 angles are congruent. So in this picture here, I've got a whole bunch of things marked in the 2 different triangles that you see. I've got triangle ABC on the left, triangle DEF on the right. I also have, these are called congruency statements. I've got some pieces of the triangles that are marked as congruent. On the left, all of these are the sides of my triangle, and on the right, all of these are of my angles. Okay, so these are my side lengths on the left, and these are my angles on the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to label everything that is congruent and in corresponding positions of these two triangles. So for example, the first side length given to me here is side AB. Okay, and it's got one tick mark. Which side is in a corresponding position? And is it the same location, same size? DE. And what's important is you name it in the same order. So since we started with A, we have to start with D on this side over here. So side AB is congruent to side DE. And I put my little segment line above it to show that it is a segment. Next one is side BC, right over here with the two tick marks. Which side is BC congruent to? EF, good, and again, it has to be in the same order. Now be careful with the last one. The last one says side length CA is congruent to FD. Good, so you have to go in that same order, FD. Good, so all three of those side lengths are congruent. And to prove that triangles are congruent, they have to have all three sides the same and all three angles the same. So we're going to go through and we're going to mark our corresponding angles. So which one is in the same location as angle A? Angle D, good, and make sure you put an angle marking before each angle. Which one is in the same location as angle B? Angle E, good. And then which one is corresponding to angle C? Angle F. Yeah, I heard someone say this is easy. It is easy. It's not supposed to be hard. So now you've got all three angles marked. You've got all three side lengths marked. And so now we write something called a congruency statement. So down here, this is going to be called a, this is a congruency statement. Congruency, is that how you spell it? Is it EY? Congruency? I don't know. And so the statement says which pieces of the triangle are in corresponding places, which pieces are the same. So I'm saying this first triangle ABC is congruent to triangle, and I have to name it in the same order on the right. So what would be the same order on the right side? If I started with A, B, C. D, E, F. Good. And that's my congruency statement. So these two triangles are congruent because they have all three sides the same, all three angles the same. That's it. Okay, so let's go through. We've got some examples here. We're just going to mark the pieces that are congruent. And remember, what's important here is that the order matters. The order matters. So my first problem here, it says side JK. Here. Which one is that congruent to in my second triangle? MN, good. And make sure you put a line above it to show that it's a segment. Okay, which one is congruent to ON? LK, good. And which segment is congruent to MO? JL. You gotta go in the same order. JL. So notice here that what's important is it doesn't matter like how you name the segment at the beginning, but what matters is that your segment at the beginning and the end, they match up positions. That's what's important here. Okay, which one's in the same position as angle O? Angle L. Which one's in the same position as angle K? Angle N. And which one's in the same position as angle M? Angle J. Good. Easy peasy stuff, right? Just making sure that everything is in the same position on both triangles. So these two triangles are congruent. Are congruent. Could somebody, oh, excuse me, raise their hand and give me the congruency statement? So I want to say that this triangle is congruent to this triangle as a sentence. Who wants to get that in an attempt? Anyone? Would you say J what? JKL. JKL. And so we write triangle because it's triangle. JKL is congruent to, say again? MNO. Good. That is one way you could write the congruency statement. That is not the only way you could write it. You could write it differently. I could say triangle LJK, but then I have to match it over here with OMN. Right, so it doesn't matter how you decide to name it as long as they match up in both triangles, in both sentences. All right, number 2. Now, notice in this problem, I do not give you a picture. So you have some choices here. You can draw a picture if you want, but this sentence right here tells you everything you need to know. You don't even need a picture for this problem, and I'll show you why. I have here written that triangle QRS is congruent to triangle XYZ. Therefore, side length QR is right here, QR. If you look at the statement in the same position, should tell you the same pieces that are congruent. So if I started with QR, which one does that have to be congruent to in the second statement? XY, perfect, that's it. Which one is congruent to RS? YZ, yep. And which side is congruent to ZX? SQ, good. So ZX was here, SQ is here. Don't let the letters trip you up. You can go from the first one to the second one or from the second one to the first one. Huh? So this Z is over here, right? X is the first one, and then I do the same over here. S is the last one, Q is the first one. So it all has to do with that position. Okay, which one is in the same position as angle Q? Angle X, make sure you put an angle marking there. Which one's in the same position as angle Y? Which one? Angle R. Now, which one's in the same position as angle XZY? QSR. QSR, good. So if it confuses you with like the 3 letters, just go one at a time. X matches up with Q, Z matches up with S, and Y matches up with R. And I need an angle marking before it. Ta-da! And you're done. That's the whole thing. So what? What? No, there's no algebra. Not yet. Not today. Not today. Actually, is there even algebra on this? I don't even think there is algebra in this section. Stop. The back is just as easy. Okay. On the front, we prove triangles were congruent by showing all 3 sides and all 3 angles are congruent. But on the back, I have some shortcuts for you. So you don't have to actually prove all 6 things. You don't have to write down all of this every time. I'm going to show you some shortcuts where you only need 3 pieces of information and that's it. So it makes it even a little bit easier because it's a lot less work for you to do. So you do not need to know all 6 pieces of each triangle to prove that they are congruent. You only need 3 pieces of information. So there are 5 different theorems or 5 different shortcuts that are going to prove triangles are congruent. So 5 theorems. And theorem is just a rule. So I've got 5 different rules I'm going to teach you. And these 5 rules prove that triangles are congruent. And so you don't have to do as much work as the front side. You don't have to list out everything. Okay, so here's the first shortcut. It is called side, side, side. And so we don't write it all out. We just put SSS for side, side, side. What that means is if I give you a picture where all 3 sides are marked as congruent, automatically that means the triangles are the same. They are congruent. So here's what that would look like. If I were to put tick marks on all 3 sides, 1, 2, 3. So all 3 sides, and I marked the same sides as congruent in the other triangle, that means the triangles are congruent. So which side is congruent to side A, B? DE, good. So A, B, that's one side length. Which side is congruent to B, C, E, F? Good. And then which side is congruent to A, C? D, F. So if you see a picture where both triangles have all 3 sides marked as congruent, automatically that means those triangles are congruent completely. That means their angles are also congruent, but you don't have to go through the work of writing them down. This is enough information to prove that triangles are congruent. So that's the first shortcut. If you see a picture that looks like this, boom, you know those triangles are congruent. The second shortcut is called side, angle, side. So you will have 2 sides that are marked in the picture and then 1 angle that is in between the 2 sides. So here's what that looks like. If I were to mark this side over here on the left, HG, which side matches up with HG? What? KJ. KJ, other way. KJ. Gotta go in the same order. Okay, that's 1 pair of sides. If I pick another side, it doesn't matter which side I pick, but I'm gonna pick HI. Hi. Which one matches up with HI? KL, good. So that is 2 sides that are marked, and I must choose the angle that is in between those 2 sides. So which angle is in between those 2 sides in the picture? So which one touches both of those sides? H. Angle H, and what about the other one? Angle K, good. So these angles are in between these 2 sides. Has to be in between to use this theorem. Side, angle, side. Hence why it's called that, right? You got a side, then an angle, then a side. Wild, right? So angle H is congruent to angle K. So again, if you see a picture that looks like this, that's enough information to prove that your triangles are congruent. Okay, number 3. Angle, side, angle. Sounds exactly like what you think. You have to have 2 angles that are marked in the picture, and this time the side must be in between the 2 angles. So I'm going to pick 2 angles in the picture. Let's say angle M. Which one matches with angle M? Q. Angle Q, good. And then let's say I pick angle P. Which one matches with angle P? S. Angle S. Okay, so if I have those 2 angles marked, I have to choose the side that is in between those 2 angles. Which side is in between those 2 angles? QS and MP. Good, so I'd have to have a picture that looked like this. 2 angles marked with the side right in between them. So angle side QS is congruent to side MP. Good, that's my third theorem. Angle, side, angle. Okay, last two. My next one is called angle, angle, side. So you have to have two angles marked in the picture. So we'll mark those first. Pick angle, it doesn't matter which one I pick. I'm gonna pick angle T. Which one matches angle T? W, good. And then I'll pick another one. How about U? Which one matches up with U? X, good. Angle U and angle X. But now this time I have to pick a side that is not in between the two angles. It is not in between the two angles. So what would be a side that is not in between the two? I could pick this side over here, TV. I could also pick VU over here, but I cannot pick this one, because if I pick this one, then it becomes angle, side, angle. So it's either got to be one of these two, and it doesn't matter which one I pick. I'm just going to pick this one. I'm going to pick TV. Which one matches up with TV? WY. So TV is congruent to WY. And again, like we said, I could have picked this side over here. I cannot pick that one because then it's a different theorem. It's a different rule. Okay, last one is hypotenuse leg. Hypotenuse leg. And this one only works with right triangles. Has to be a right triangle. So you better have a 90-degree angle. If you don't have a 90-degree angle, then you can't use this one. Has to be a right angle. In this picture, you have to have a right angle and you have to have the hypotenuse marked in the picture. The hypotenuse is the side, that's the longest side, and it's across from the 90. So which side is my hypotenuse in this picture? Which one? This side?
No. Yeah, no, CB.
ZB, there you go, this side over here. So it's across from the 90. This side's the hypotenuse. Which side is the hypotenuse in the, whoa, in the other one? CE, good. I'm going to put HYP by it to remember that that's the hypotenuse side. Okay, and then I have to pick one of the other legs. It does not matter which other one you pick, but you just have to have the hypotenuse. So I'm going to pick AB. And which one matches with AB? D. Yep. Okay. So those are the 5 different shortcuts or 5 different rules we can use to prove that triangles are congruent. Now, there are some rules that do not work, and I don't want you to try to use them. One rule that does not work, so you can't use it, is angle, angle, angle. So if you have a picture of 2 triangles, and they have all of the angles marked, that does not mean that they are necessarily congruent. What do you notice about these 2 triangles? They're different sizes. Yeah, one's smaller, one's bigger. So you can have the same angles, but not the same size. So that doesn't mean that they're congruent. That means that they are similar. They're similar. They have different sizes. So don't try to use that rule. If I say, can you prove these triangles are congruent? You would say, no, these are not congruent. Not congruent. Okay, if that's all that you have marked in the picture, can't use that. You can't prove that those are congruent triangles. The other one you are not allowed to use is side, side angle or angle, side, side. Why did I put a smiley face there? What does that spell? Okay, spell something you're not supposed to say. So here's how you can remember. In math class, you better not swear forward and you better not swear backwards, okay? So ASS and SSA, neither one of those work. They're not real theorems. So if you look at this picture here, not real. Not real. If you look at this picture here, you see that there's two sides that are marked the same and then an angle that's marked as the same. But are these congruent triangles? Do they look the same?
No.
Heck no. These are not congruent.
Yes.
What? What are you trying to say? Did you just get that? Well, right. So I'm just going to put no swearing. Forward or W-A-R-D? Forward or.
Oh.
Exactly. I'm a math teacher. I'm a math teacher. That's right. Yeah. No swearing forward or backwards. Not a real theorem. Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's a bad word. Okay. All right, so those are your 5 theorems. Tomorrow we're going to do some practice with those 5 theorems and proving that triangles are congruent. Today, what I want you to do right now, for our last few minutes here, you're going to come back to your pink paper. Back to pink paper. So this should be completely filled out already. The first one should be like, boop, we're done with that first one, friends. You're on the second one. You should have what you already know. That should be done. And now you're going to tell me right here, what did you learn today? Give me one thing that you learned. One thing that you learned. I don't care what you learned.
No swearing.
Oh, there you go. It could be no swearing. That's fine. But you tell me one thing that you learned today. And if you have any questions, you can put them down, but I have a feeling you'll give me questions tomorrow. But if you have one today, you can put it down. Okay, so you're writing down what you learned. And then this is the 2 assignments that are going to be for this section. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you a practice. It'll be due Friday. And then on Friday, I'm going to give you an IXL. Okay, those are the 2 assignments coming up. 2 assignments coming up. Okay. All right, so fill out that section there, that pink paper, and then put your notes away when you're done. Don't lose those pink papers. That pink paper is a major grade, friends, so you better have it filled out. Major grade, and I'm going to be checking them tomorrow. Stop recording.